Glenjamin, what's inside you? Oh, it's worse than I thought.
He is the Father!
The power of spoilers compels you!
Jack, let go!
The power of spoilers compels you!
He was dead the whole time!
The power of spoilers compels you! The following podcast contains spoilers for the last exorcism. You've been warned, demon!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Judgement, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
Hello.
Greetings, my friend. How are you?
Greetings. How art thou?
Not bad. I moved my room around a little bit. I'm
Again?
Hopefully, yeah, a little bit more. There's some things
Okay.
I moved. And now I'm hopefully recording correctly in 4K, so that'll be nice.
Well, hopefully we don't have any audio problems this time where you keep cutting out and I'm just pretending to understand what you're saying. Well, let's be honest, that's what happens all the time. I pretend to just understand what you're saying.
I mean, that's the whole world just being nice to me because
That's true.
karma, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. But how you doing, Glenn?
I'm sweaty, man.
Yeah?
I'm sweaty, and I'm recovering from a little bit of food poisoning on Saturday.
Ooh,
Yeah.
not good.
Last time it was this little bit of ramen that I had. I don't know if it's something in the ramen that just genuinely fucks me up or what.
Mhm.
But this is twice in a row now, so I don't know if I'm gonna get that specific thing anymore. And if it's not that specific thing, it's one other specific thing. You know, if it's that specific thing, I swear to fucking Christ,
Yeah, I'd avoid it if I were you.
I would too.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm okay. Just still
Yeah.
sweaty though. Can't
Cool.
escape that.
Hey, you see any movies you want to talk about real quick before we
Oh.
gets to going?
Oh, I can talk about some of those. Only some, though.
Ooh.
I can't let you in on the whole pot.
Mm-hmm.
Because that thing is sizzling. What is
Yeah.
that? There's one of those things. I don't know what we're talking about. So I kind of continued the streak of watching the Friday the 13th movies. I had,
Cool.
yeah. I watched Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, which is just another movie. Just another movie in the Friday the 13th franchise. For the most part, it was pretty decent, but it's kind of like all the other ones where it's like just a slasher movie that you
Yeah.
it's just a throwaway movie for horny teens to go and see some other horny teens get cut up and all this other shit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad for the most part, but I mean, it wasn't great either. I did missed the last like 10 minutes because I just wasn't paying attention. So I'll have to go back and actually rewatch that last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I had rewatched a little movie called The Garden of Words, which is a movie that I want you to eventually watch, but I know you're not going to watch it, mainly because the romance, it's not like a real like big part of the movie, but it's kind of like enough for you to be like, this is stupid.
We know
But
how I am with romance.
the animation in it is glorious, but you're also a little finicky with that sometimes too.
Is it
but
anime?
I think, yeah, it's the animation is drop dead gorgeous. I think you would like it. You would respect it a little bit. You might not.
I mean, I
completely
respect all
like it.
anime. It just bothers me watching it for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, luckily
So.
for you, this is 40 something minutes.
Oh,
So
there you go.
It's doable.
Yeah.
After that, I tried to watch Hocus Pocus, but I have this weird thing with my body. Whenever I start to watch this movie, I just drift away into sleep and never want to finish watching it.
There you go.
Hocus Pocus, I just can't finish that movie. Not that it's bad, not that it's good. I just can't get through it without going away into another dream world.
Yes.
And then, of course, I watched The Last Exorcism, which we shall get into in quite a moment. But first,
Yes.
I know you've got at least a few up your little sleeve, my friend.
I have exactly a few. I watched 3 movies. Yeah, one of them was 5.5 hours long, and it took me
Whoa.
3 days to watch. So I feel like that counts for something. That's more like
3 days. That's impressive.
Yeah, three days, 2 hours, 2 hours, an hour and a half.
Damn.
So yeah, so that one was Fanny and Alexander. It is technically the last film in my Ingmar Bergman collection, but there's 2 cuts of it. I watched the 5.5 hour cut. There's a 3.5 hour cut I have to watch, and then after that, the making of that. And then once I do that, I will be done with everything.
There you go.
But I really like this. I feel like I'm going to like the theatrical cut better. Because it was like a mini series that they cut into a theatrical release length. And my only problem with this is that for being called Fanny and Alexander, there's a good chunk of it, about 2 hours, that has nothing to do with Fanny and Alexander.
What the hell, man?
Which was still good. It just wasn't as interesting as the part about Fanny and Alexander.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to like the theatrical cut even more than I like this. And I like this quite a bit. So yeah, we'll see about that. So that was Fanny and Alexander. Then you and I saw a movie. I don't know if you mentioned this because I had something in my
probably
eye.
didn't because it was I'd never rated, and that's why I never brought it up.
We didn't do a review for it because we were kind of we wanted to have Plaza Azteca and chill.
Oh my god!
You know, something
did
we haven't
too.
done in a long time. So that's what we did, and we saw a Argentinian movie. I believe it's definitely Spanish language. I believe it's Argentinian. Recommended by my friend John Clark. I found out afterwards that he hadn't seen it yet. And he was just recommending it. I misunderstood what he was saying. He was just recommending it based on the hype it was getting.
Well,
but hey, I'm glad he brought it up because it was pretty darn good. When Evil Lurks, so it's like a possession movie. We watched a lot of possession movies this week.
it is Spooktober.
Yes, but it was a different kind of possession from the normal ones that you see. From like English language films, so I really appreciated it. So if you haven't seen When Evil Lurks, check it out. It's a limited release. I think the theater we went to was the only theater near us that was showing it.
Yeah, surprisingly, KOP wasn't really showing it.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, so I highly suggest people check that out when they can. Very spooky, very spooky,
very violent too, in a good way.
Very violent
for me at least. I'm a weird viewer. I want to see fucked up shit.
Yeah. So yeah, When Evil Lurks. And then the final thing I watched was The Last Exorcism, which we're going to get into right now. I looked right into the light, not in the camera, and now my eyes are all weird.
Nell, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good, nothing to be nervous about.
What is it? It's coming through my skin. Please help. Get it out of me.
Let him come now. Where's Nell?
In the fire. Here, kitty, kitty.
Nell. Oh my god. Turn off that light. Let's get out of here.
If you can't save my daughter's soul, I will.
Leave this girl. If I beseech our Lord, you may be able to stand a while for the devil. In the name of Jesus Christ, I command thee to be gone!
A troubled evangelical minister agrees to let his last exorcism be filmed by a documentary crew. Directed by Daniel Stamm, written by Huck Botko and Andrew Garland, not to be confused with Alex Garland, who I was thinking was named Andrew Garland last week, but it's Alex Garland, who did like Ex Machina and stuff. Starring Patrick Fabian, Ashley Bell, Iris Barr, Lewis Hertham, Caleb Landry Jones, Tony Bentley, and the cameraman, I'm assuming, was played by Daniel Stamm, because I don't see anyone else that is on here. Oh, maybe. Nope. Adam Grimes is the voice, I guess, of Daniel Moskowitz, the cameraman. I don't know. There's 2 guys named Daniel, and one is the director.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then
which
one
it
is never
could be,
seen.
Actually.
Yeah, one's not seen at all. So I think it's Adam Grimes did the voice, but I doubt he held the camera. I could be wrong. Who knows? But yeah, I picked this because I think it is one of the better found footage films ever made. I think a lot of found footage films rely on the gimmick too much. And
Yeah.
I feel like this does a fantastic job of actually creating a compelling film that happens to involve like paranormal horror stuff.
Yep.
And then ends in such a way, we did spoilers, that warrants the found footage title. Where it's like obviously the filmmakers within the story were not able to finish the film.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. And I when I went to go see it, I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know it was a found footage film. I just went and saw it with my friend Jason Brown. You know Jason.
I do.
And we had like a little movie day, and this was one of the movies we watched, and it just kind of blew me away. I really enjoyed it. And I think the 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb is a horrible score for it.
That is a very horrible score, to be honest.
And I think people are stupid who rated it below at least a 6. I think 6 is fair. I think higher is more deserving. But if you gave it a 6, I don't understand. Anything lower than that, what's wrong with you? Glenn,
Oh.
we established last week that you had watched this before and just didn't rate it. What did you think of it?
So yeah, I didn't rate this because I always get this, and I think it was Haunting in Connecticut that I always get mixed up,
Yeah.
at least from like the posters. So I did watch this before. I'm very, very certain I watched this with my dad and my sister, who, again, if you've been watching or listening to the podcast, you would know they like horror movies way more than I do.
Yeah.
But this one, it kind of came off the there's some spooky shit going on behind me, man.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. There's like dripping noises.
I heard wood
and
creaking.
weird cracking. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, it kind of came off the Tales of Paranormal Activity like a couple of years after. With then like it kind of flooded along with other movies that kind of came with the genre of found footage. Obviously after Blair Witch too, but so this is kind of one in the few that get overlooked when it comes to the genre, I think.
It definitely didn't have the hype that the others had.
Yeah.
Which
and
is a
there's only-
shame because it's head over heels, or it is so much better than the other ones,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Like well, I won't talk about those movies, but I think there's this and a couple other movies that kind of do get lost compared to the bigger named ones. This is definitely one of them. And when I first watched this movie, I fucking loved this movie. This was a great movie. So much, I loved it so much that I got it mixed up all the time with Haunting in Connecticut. Make that make sense. But yeah, this was like a genuine great movie to watch the first time, even if I wasn't that into horror like my family was. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to rewatch it too. I was trying to remember as I was watching what happens for the most part. But it's genuinely pretty easy to remember a lot of it. But the movie does kind of so well with kind of, you know how it's going to end. You know, obviously it's one of those movies, but it does a really good job of kind of subverting you a little bit.
Absolutely.
On it's like, oh well, maybe a demon isn't haunting this girl at all.
Yeah.
They probably are.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite part of it is that it follows this pastor who kind of grew up being forced into being a pastor by his father, and he's kind of just finally tired of exploiting people by acting like he believes in this. And you know, from the very get-go, he's like, people don't pay attention in church. He even like says, I will preach about my grandmother's banana bread recipe and no one's going to pay attention.
Banana bread pudding, baby.
Yeah, and he does it, and it's one of the funnier moments in it. And I just love that it follows him. Like, you know, the whole idea of it is that like he's there to prove that this isn't real. And then about the 50-minute mark, hour mark is when he starts like second guessing himself. He was like, maybe this is real.
Yeah, but
and I love that back and forth that it does, and even like so much so that like the last time he tries to exorcise her, she's as the quote unquote demon, says, "What if I give you a blowing job?" And then that's like what makes him realize that she's just lying, and it's just like this fantastic reveal. And then they backtrack on it. It's just it just whips you back and forth, and I love that about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. It's very good at subverting. Especially like him, like you were saying, he kind of reaches back and is like, oh shit, maybe this is happening again. And like he does a very good job of like just playing the part, period. Like how overly hammy he is when he's doing like the banana stuff.
Yeah, like when he doesn't believe and everything.
He's just obviously he's a character. He's an actor playing a character in the movie, but then the character is playing a character within itself. It was just really funny. Yeah. But and then when he's in front of the camera, in front of the people that he's kind of manipulating, he even goes even the first exorcism. Not to say that there's two, even though there's spoilers. But the first exorcism and how just overly hammy he is, and just how anybody who wants to believe will believe, but if any just other person like said Caleb would just be like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Yeah. It's very good, man. Trying to find words to put it into it correctly, but
speaking of like the first exorcism, when he's like faking it, I love how they intercut the exorcism with how he's doing everything, like hiding the speakers and
putting the powder in the crucifix.
Yeah, powder in the crucifix. He even explains like the burning of the skin as like a nickel allergy. I think that's not part of the exorcism, but like he explains like scientifically how everything comes about. And I just, it's just such a unique standpoint for this kind of movie. It could have so easily been like just a guy retiring he always believed.
Oh yeah.
But they decide to go with like the cynical route, which I love. I think it's way more realistic that way, which makes it, when they reveal that it was real all along and you see the demon coming out of the fire. Yeah. It's just shocking at that point where it's just like, holy shit, this was what? What?
God damn! We went from about a 6, maybe a 5.7 on the scale of crazy to a goddamn 10 instantly.
Yeah. And where I feel a lot of found footage films are kind of laughable, Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity absolutely is laughable with just how bad it's made. This is competently made because it's supposed to be like a documentary, and that adds to the creep factor. For instance, when what's the girl's name? Nell. When Nell takes the camera in the middle of the night and just like kind of like
gets
films
naked
what she's doing, gets
becomes
naked,
a witch, man.
Kills the cat with the camera and everything. It makes that creepy. It got to the point where like watching it on my big screen, anytime she would look into the camera, I would just get like the chills. Like it's just like, even though I know it's a movie, like it gave me chills, and that's very rare for me in a horror movie that it gives me chills, and especially with the foreshadowing that she really does not like the camera guy, which, looking at the character's name, Daniel Moskowitz, is kind of, I guess, makes sense in a way. That demon's just anti-Semitic, I guess.
Oh, I was like, where's that going?
I'm pretty sure that's a Jewish name. If not, it is definitely like a Polish name. Yeah. And there's like a lot of xenophobia toward Polish people. So I think that's what they were trying to do, or just like, because if you believe in the lore of the Bible and everything, Jewish people are the chosen people. And the Torah, not just the Bible.
Chosen to get fucked up.
And again, not here to say that anyone is wrong about that. I personally don't believe that, but like, there's many people that do. So in the world where a demon believes that Jewish people are the chosen people, they would obviously hate the camera person with a Jewish last name. But like, I don't remember them saying his last name. And I kind of just put that together now. So who knows? I could be making stuff up, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
I don't think they ever mentioned it. They barely said most of the first. Well, some of the first names.
If they did, it was like an introduction where like we're not really paying attention to what he's saying anyway.
Yeah.
But still, I like if that was on purpose, and I'm not just looking too deep into it because of her hatred towards the cameraman. That's brilliant. If not, whatever. It happens.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I think it's just from top to bottom, brilliantly executed. One of the creepiest movies I have seen, and the actors just make it feel so real. And there's some pretty big actors in this too. Like it's not just like Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch Project where they get literal nobodies. Like Patrick Fabian has been in a bunch of stuff. Most notably, everything is mostly after this movie that I can see, but he's a pretty recognizable face.
Well, Caleb Jones is in a bunch too.
Yeah, well, this was one of his first things. This was definitely one of his first things. But then also, the man who plays the father, Lewis Hertham, he is in, at the very least, Westworld.
Caleb Jones had a bunch of stuff basically at the same time.
Yeah.
He was in No Country for Old Men, and then Breaking Bad, and then Last Exorcism, and
What
then
is he
Social
in
Network,
No Country for Old Men?
and then Boy on Bike. So not really much. But Breaking Bad, Last Exorcism, Social Network, and X-Men, basically all in 1 year, is kind of nuts.
He had that, and then another year. Let's see. He had in 2017 he had another big year where 3 of the movies he was in were nominated for Best Picture. Get Out, The Florida Project, or an Oscar. I don't know if Florida Project was nominated for Best Picture, and then 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I don't remember for sure.
But yeah, he's had a few big years. He's a great character actor. But yeah, I think it's just such a great movie. I love how it's kind of like shedding light on the whole corporatization of Christianity and everything.
Yeah.
Not that the belief system is necessarily a bad thing, but the business side of it is immoral, at least, if not completely illegal. And especially because it has such a grip on impoverished and uneducated areas like the Deep South. They mentioned that by saying like there's a lot of illiteracy in the area they're going to, and it's just a really it has a lot of depth to it. It's not just a horror movie. It has like something, as little as it might be, to say about like the state of religion.
Yeah.
In the South.
Even the head, I doubt it's a real word, I'm not sure, documentarian, Iris, she was like, so basically you're saying that you're a fraud. And he's like, well, I wouldn't say that. I'm helping people with their ailment. I'm doing what everyday people do, is helping people with a problem that they have. And if this is the way they think that problem needs fixed, that's what I'm doing. He's
essentially a walking placebo, which isn't necessarily fraud.
Well,
it's placebo.
It's like,
the placebo effect is a notable scientific experiment that does work. Like people get placebos all the time, and it works. I'm pretty sure I've been given placebos, and it has worked.
It's like don't come at me, ladies. Okay, it's like a fortune teller, like palm reading and all that, tarot cards.
Yeah,
it's like that. Like it helps some people in their ways or whatever, but. Is it completely real? I don't know. That's not a discussion for me and you to have, because you'll probably slit my throat too.
Yeah.
Just like the camera guy. But I really liked how he explained it, and how he's like, well, I mean, you could call me that, but that's not what I would call myself. That I am helping people genuinely. And if it, to everybody else's eyes, if it doesn't seem like they're helping. In this specific case, it didn't. I mean, yes, he was definitely a fraud for the most part, until he probably most likely at the end found his faith again, trying to fight the demon that just happened to be the demon that he just I feel like randomly picked in this book of Exorcism. Yeah. But when I found out his name too, the good old Reverend Cotton, I immediately was like, oh. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how this one plays out. And, it might have. It might have played out with checkers in his entrails. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a demon. But yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely supremely underlooked in the genre. There's a bunch of them too. I'd have to look. I can't remember most of the names. I barely even remembered this name because I thought it was Haunting in Connecticut. But yeah, it's a solid movie. Definitely not deserving of a 5.7. The girl who played Nell, Ashley Bell, she was great. Like she transitioned so well from being just this little like homeschooled farm girl to just straight sinister little respect to her. Absolute bitch.
Well, she really let her dark brown eyes work to her favor.
Yeah.
Because they always kind of looked black just from the lighting standpoint, and so she was able to like turn on the innocence or turn it off at like a moment's notice because her eyes looked black pretty much the entire time. And also, I read this when I first watched this. I couldn't find confirmation other than the fact that she was an athlete at some point, but I feel like I read when this first came out that she was a gymnast and that all of like the contorting she did was practical. Like she like anytime her neck looked like it was going in a
like
impossible
a 90-degree
position. It's just like she has so many muscles in her neck and stuff that she's able to do something like that.
There's a Last Exorcism Part 2.
Yeah, obviously it's probably not as good as this one. I haven't seen it because I
Julia
like
Garner too.
If I feel like there shouldn't be a sequel, I will not watch the sequel because I want to remember a film for how it was by itself. But yeah, it's just such a.
Now see that one's probably bad, and I'm curious if it's found footage as well. Written by Damien Chazelle, huh?
Really? Oh, interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
This is 2013. Interesting.
I also I like the fact that like they showed, and this is something that I have personal experience with. This was a very relatable movie to me for many points. One part, when people think of like churches that should be taxed, they think of like the mega churches and everything.
Yeah.
That there are far too many of, but they don't think of the majority of churches, which are like small churches that have like 50 people in them in the congregation, which is the kind of church my dad led when I was growing up. So like the financial struggles that he was going through that kind of guided him. That's such a religious word to use, guided.
Well, it fits right now.
And it forced his hand really to do these exorcisms that he knew was fake. So it wasn't just him being, a con man or whatever. It's like he had legitimate financial problems that he wasn't trying to get rich off of these people. He was just trying to like take care of his family. So it kind of showed that like, on one hand, he's kind of a dick for lying to these people, but who wouldn't in his situation?
Some say, gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. I just love how many different things they throw at you. Like there's the subplot of potential abuse that Iris believes, and they make us believe at some point. And it just, there's so many layers, Glenn.
There's a lot of layers.
So much goes on in this like 88-minute movie. It's
like
great.
a little onion.
Yeah. And it just really kind of bothers me that anytime I mention it, especially to like big horror fans, they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely underlooked.
Yeah.
From what I remember, I'm pretty sure my family liked it. They better fucking knock them out, both of them. How dare they? But yeah, holds up to me as well. Yeah. Like, not much is really. There's like, not really technology like cell phones and shit going on, which makes for the best horror movies. And to me. That way, everybody's not like, "Oh, get on the phone, go text John, what's going on?" I don't know. I think it's a really great movie.
Yeah. One last thing I will add. Well, two things. The first thing I will say is the whole motivation for him to kind of stop believing in God and realizing that everything he's been doing is just does more harm than good. Was the fact that a 12-year-old kid died during an exorcism.
And his kid was like 10 or like
Yeah.
maybe a little bit younger.
And that's something that is very true. People have died during exorcisms. I mean, the Exorcism of Emily Rose, another exorcism movie, is based off of a real case in Germany that was the priests were tried because the young woman that they were doing an exorcism on died. So it's like it is something that I feel like does not get enough news, is because that, you know, the people that believe in it, and the people who don't think it's a joke is like people are actually dying from these things that are probably not real. You know, even when I did believe in God, I didn't believe in the devil. So like I was
Well, they say in this, if you believe in God, you got to believe in the devil.
That's not true at all. In the least. If you believe in the Bible, you got to believe in the devil.
Yeah.
But I always knew that the Bible was written by humans who would probably lie to control people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, while I get why he's saying that, and I agree with, like, you know, because he's coming in from a Bible standpoint, not a spiritual
Yeah, I mean,
creator
even he himself
standpoint.
in it said that, oh no, movie recording is stopped. I must have ran out of memory. It's a good thing I got the Logitech going. He even says in it that he doesn't believe in demons or anything like that.
Well, he didn't believe in God. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
He had stopped believing.
I mean, but I think even when he did, I don't think I assume he didn't believe in demons.
Yeah, I mean, he
Is what I
always
think
knew
he
he
was
was.
getting at.
He always knew he was faking it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it has great sound design too when it comes to that. But yeah, I that's the one thing I'll add is that did I even finish my thought? The whole history of exorcism and everything. So like, even when I did believe in God, I thought exorcisms were bullshit because I always just thought that there was no no Satan or no devil, because that is obviously to me just a made-up story for humans to control people. The whole God part's not controlling people. It's the threat of going to hell that's controlling people.
Yeah.
And so to me, I was always like, why would a God create us just to make a deal with the devil that if we didn't believe in him, he would go to hell? Like, that's stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Bad writing, humans. Bad.
Bad writing, humans from 2,000 years ago. But yeah, I always thought it was stupid. And then the last thing I will say is that I always love the camera operators in found footage films because they're always the most cowardly.
Yeah.
They're really just like the audience like reacting. They're always just like, we got to get out of here. What the fuck are we doing? And Daniel was kind of like that. He's just like, she said she's going to cut off my head. Why are we still here?
Why are we still here? Even she's 16 years old, but a 16-year-old's psycho?
Yeah. Hello.
Well, it's funny to me because, well, first as a white person, and two as a person who likes getting the shot. If I'm behind the camera, I want whatever that shot is. I don't care. Well, I do care a little bit. I care about my life, but
I feel like you've never been put in a situation like he has been put in.
yeah, I mean, I've been to abandoned places where it's fucking super duper scary and shit like that because it's completely pitch black. I was in like a basement of this one place and like my friends are like dipping out. I'm like, I want to check out what the fuck is. I was that typical white person. Yes.
God damn it.
But like I'm like, I gotta see what the fuck's down here. And lo and behold, it was just like a flooded basement.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, he's a real one.
Yeah.
He's a real one.
But yeah, it's always the camera guy in these movies. Like in Cloverfield,
it was
T.J.
Miller. Yeah,
and he's like comedic relief. I haven't seen Blair Witch Project in a long time, and I hated it. So I don't
seen
really
the first one.
It's not very good. I mean, I understand why it was such a big sensation because it was like the first movie of its kind.
Well, also the marketing
Kind of,
for it
not
was
really.
fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
The marketing, but like I feel like I remember him being like the sane one, where it's just like, yo, we should get out of here. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I always appreciate them. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. I think this is a very underappreciated film.
Funny stories. We actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I've never seen the movie, but we created like a small short for our school like news thing where we redid the Blair Witch, but in like a 5-minute segment. And I was the camera operator, and I was going like, "We should go, guys!" Like I was that fucking character, and I just remembered that, and it's so funny to me.
Yeah, that's great.
Why are we here?
Yo, we gotta get out of here.
What are we doing, man? But yeah, that's all I've got too.
Yeah. Really got to say that and this will definitely be the last thing. It's a very strong ending.
Very
I love
strong.
that the one pastor he kind of befriended was one of the Satanists, as well as that super nice lady. She was a Satanist.
Little
and
sweetheart.
Then, once he realized it was real, he went like charging in with
The crucifix.
the crucifix, thought for his own safety and everything. So I thought that was really cool and quick character arc.
It was really cool that he was always, no matter what, he's like, I gotta save this girl. Like, even if I don't believe what's happening, I really think she needs help, and I have to save this girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
That's about it.
All right, so that does it for the review of The Last Exorcism. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes to the KFR show for the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. This was my pick, so I get to go first. I think it's very clear just from how I talked about it. I hadn't seen this since shortly after I got it on Blu-ray, after it was in theaters. So it's been over 10 years since I last saw it.
Same.
So
I think I watched it in 2011.
Yeah. So it still holds up to me. Like, it's still a very compelling film, very well made, extremely creepy, and for this very specific genre of horror, the found footage genre of horror, I think it's bar none the best. I can't personally think of one that's better. I'm sure many people will disagree with me.
There's probably a couple contenders. I think I'd have to rewatch a few.
It's the first one that comes to mind. Like, if someone says, "What's the best found footage film?" This is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I could be, forgetting one that I like more than this, but I think this is the best one, and for that reason, I would say it does go on the shelf.
I would also say it goes on the shelf. There's not many in the genre that I would put on the shelf, but I think this is by far probably top 3 found film. I have to watch Blair Witch. I think there's one called Wreck. I don't know if it's good or not.
It's good. It's just I like the elements in this one better.
Yeah, and then I can't. There's another one where they're in like a hotel or some shit, and it's like I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But I feel like there's a lot of contenders. But I think this one is up. It's fucking up there and does not deserve a 5.7.
Yeah.
It definitely deserves higher. And everybody was great. Shots were great. Just the tension. Just the tension of the whole thing. The leading aways. I think everything was great.
This list I just found considers What We Do in the Shadows as a found footage film. To me, it's more of a mockumentary because it doesn't have the element of them dying at the end. That I can remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's.
I could see it, but I wouldn't. I mean, found footage horror.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it in that one. For
yeah,
sure.
I would definitely not consider it that. But if we are putting it in there, that one's my favorite.
Yeah,
I disagree with that categorization though.
Yeah,
but yes. So The Last Exorcism does go on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden, and that brings us to our assignment for next week, going into week 5. We're almost done. We got 2 more weeks.
So close.
Of the 2023 Spooktacular Spooktober, and this week, Glenn, it's your pick. Tell me, what are we watching?
I'm going out swinging, baby. Ooh. Even though we're not really ending, but I'm coming in swinging. I'll say that, motherfucker. How about that one? That's a good one.
Whoa!
I had been contemplating on watching this one for a while, and luckily it kind of fits the category in this, or at least when it came out, it definitely fit the fucking category for how old I was at the ripe age of 9 years old. This came out in 2002. Mike, how much do you love M. Night Shyamalan?
Well, he's only the guy that got me into filmmaking in the first place.
Oh, what movie was that really sparked your interest in filmmaking?
The Village.
Oh,
And
we're doing the one before that.
I will not apologize for liking The Village. I'll fight anyone who says that that's a bad movie.
Well, we're going to do the one, I'm pretty sure it was before that one.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
well, I don't know what you're doing, so you
Well,
definitely didn't tell me this beforehand.
I did say 2002, so...
Oh, yeah,
and
I
Village
know what
came out
that
in
is.
2004. We're going to watch Signs, baby.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know this at all. Because we're definitely not recording two things back to back.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Some animals around the county have been acting funny. Some of them violent. It's almost like they act when they smell a predator around.
Amman, Nairobi, Bangalore, and Jerusalem as the
Same
latest.
shows on every station.
Every station?
It is the 18th reported crop site in that country in the last 72 hours.
I'm a little scared. All this stuff on TV. Joe Gills was in here talking about the end of the world.
They're staying in the shadows. It's called probing to make sure things are all clear.
Clear for what?
For the rest of them.
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Ground forces are being assembled.
It's happening. Don't be afraid. It's like War of the Worlds. Believe it's going to pass. Don't be afraid. They're in the house. Here it comes. Don't be afraid.
A widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm finds mysterious crop circles in their fields, which suggests something more frightening to come. Directed and written and produced by M. Night Shyamalan, stars Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin. I almost called him Rory Culkin, like his brother's fucking
Macaulay Culkin?
Macaulay Culkin. He wanted to change his name to that. Now it fucked the whole lineup for his whole family. Now I just want everybody like that. Anyway, Abigail Breslin, Cherry Jones, M. Night Shyamalan himself, Patricia Kalember, Ted Sutton. There's so many other people in there, but it mainly focuses on the main family here of the core four. So yeah, I definitely wanted to rewatch this movie. It had been a long, long ass time. And we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
We got to talk
do.
about it.
I'm definitely excited to rewatch this and haven't definitely already rewatched it because we're going to record right after this.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this one. So yes, that is that will do it.
Oh,
Signs.
I never said where it was. My bad. Holy shit.
Oh,
so Signs will be on Sling, HBO Max, and I'm not calling it Max. Shut the fuck up. It's on Hulu, Roku channel for premium subscription, along with Prime as well for the premium subscription. So there you go. I watched it on HBO Max. You do what you want with that information.
Yes. So, Signs is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening, as always, and watching. Oh, I almost forgot that. As always, you can check out our website at www.KeystoneFilmReview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_Film_Review. TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glen, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when Lionel Pritchard and the something boys, what are their names?
Oh, fuck. What were their last names?
They do a bunch of shit.
It was something crazy.
Yeah, the Wolfington brothers, maybe.
It was something like Wolfenstein or something. Not Wolfenstein, that's a video game, but still.
I'm pretty sure it's Wolfington. I could be wrong. But anyway, they're messing with our crops and getting on our roofs. Or maybe it's aliens. Oh.
Who knows? We know.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.